Hello, everybody. This is Ms. Janine from the Humboldt County Library, and I'm very pleased to see you today. Today, it is my great pleasure to introduce Tamar Burris, who has written her very first children's book, and she is here to share it with us today. Over to you. Thank you.
All right, my book is called A New Special Friend, and it is dedicated to my son, Raiden, my reason for everything. Here, I'm going to get started with reading it. Hi, I am Little Fox. My parents are divorced. When my dad moved to a new house, I felt angry and sad. I wondered if I would ever see him again. Now I am happier. I see my dad a lot. We play games together and go swimming. He reads books in funny voices. We laugh and laugh. My dad has a new special friend. Her name is Donna. When Dad told me about her, I was nervous. What if Dad didn't want to play with me anymore? I did not want to share my dad with anyone else. I was mad. Dad took me to the park to meet Donna. I dragged my feet. I yelled and cried the whole way there. It didn't work. We still went to the park, but I was so angry. Why did Donna have to come? It wasn't fair. I held my dad's hand and frowned. What if he let go of my hand when he saw Donna? But guess what? He held on to me the whole time. I still made angry faces, but deep down inside, Dad's warm hand made me feel better. Donna climbed a tall tree. She wasn't afraid. She had a big smile and smelled like cookies. I didn't tell her, but I really like cookies. Maybe Donna wasn't so bad. A few days later, Dad and I went to the beach. Donna came too. Seeing her again gave me a weird feeling in my belly, like butterflies flying around and around. I wanted to spend my day with Dad, just the two of us, like always. Not with Donna, but I was also kind of curious. I wondered if Donna liked the beach as much as I did. Donna built roads for my trucks. She dug a hole for me to jump in. She pretended to be a crab. I laughed. Donna was funny. By the end of the day, I had forgotten that I wanted to be alone with Dad. The butterflies in my belly were gone. I really liked Donna, but I kept it a secret. Liking Donna made me feel a little sad. It seemed wrong to be her friend. Dad had Donna and Mom had me. If I liked Donna, what would happen to Mom? I didn't want to like Donna. I tried not to like her, but I couldn't help it. She was funny and nice. I was really confused. I finally told Mom about my secret. Boy, was I glad that I did. My mom said that I am lucky to have another special grown-up in my life. She said we are all one big team, a team that loves Little Fox. That made me happy. It is okay to like Donna. Even Mom said so. Now I see Donna a lot. She plays with me every time I see her. She builds forts out of pillows. She even likes to read in funny voices, just like Dad. So if you are a kid like me, don't worry if your mom or dad has a new special friend. Know that you are lucky. It might take you a little while to like them, and that is okay. Getting to know someone takes time. Remember that you now have a new special friend too. The end.
Yay. Thank you so much for sharing that, Tamar. I really like the exploration of all those different kinds of feelings and ways of thinking about them and talking about them together. I think that's That's wonderful.
Thank you. Yes, you're welcome. I wrote it for my son because it was something that we needed in our family. And it feels like it's something that's really helpful for a lot of kids who experience divorce and might have trouble understanding what's happening with the changes in their family. And I think it's important to explore it. And
right. Of course, those changes don't stop, do they? They're an ongoing process. Yeah, even when you get to be a grown-up, there are more changes and more feelings and more.
That's true.
More things to learn. I'm curious too, if this is your first book, what did you learn about in the process of creating the book?
I learned a lot of things in the process of creating it. I've always written. It's just part of who I am. It's part of my passion. And I always thought I would write a book, but I never really thought I would write a kid's book. So I've written a lot of stories and whatnot. And I did a lot of journalism throughout my career based on an older audience. But I've been reading a lot of kids' books since I had a child, and I was a teacher, and so I'm familiar with children's books. So I wrote this story, and I thought it was fine. And then when I took it to the editor, it was not fine. And I learned so much about how important language selection is when you're talking about kids' books, and how each word really has to have significant meaning, and how you have to draw on the illustrations and the words, and there's so few words, it has to really hit home in a short amount of time. And so I did a lot of editing, and I think I spent a lot more time on this 600-word book than I definitely expected to, just in cleaning up the language and making it shorter and making it more accessible
Right, and meaningful, and the sound and the rhythm. I mean, I think of picture books a lot like poetry often, and that's.
And I think people don't really understand that. Oh, it's a kid's book. It's really short. It's super easy to write. But
you can tell them it's not. Yeah. And thinking about that team image in the book too, that all the grown-ups involved in a kid's life are part of the team. I really like that. And I wonder if that has any relation to, I understand you do coaching in relationships and co-parenting specifically. So drawing on that background, do you have any special tips for families who are co-parenting?
Well, I do think, there's a difference between what you might need and what your kids might need. And I think that it's really important for children to not see their family as broken, and to not see it, this fragmented thing, and to have everything move smoothly, at least from their perspective. So the idea of a team, and that we're all one unit, that we're all in this together, even though we live in separate homes or we have different things going on, I think it's really important that that's what the kids see. And so when I work with the grownups, all the stuff that they've got going on really needs to be behind the scenes, and it needs to be within the adult time, so that they can present that, and the kids don't feel slighted, or like they have to take sides, or like there are things going on that they need to worry about. But just focus on being a child, focus on growing up and being loved, and and that's one of the key components, I think.
Okay. It's a lot of work growing up. And it's certainly a lot of work helping someone else grow up.
Yeah.
So
and I think that as adults, we forget that the way they see things is really different than how we see things. And we think that we present something clearly, or we're being straightforward or honest or something, but a lot of times kids haven't experienced everything we've experienced, and what we picture in our mind with what we're sharing to them isn't computed in the same way, and everything's brand new. And so it's just really important to be really clear and really brief. And
that brief is answer the question that's asked and the next question as they unfold. But also, I mean, here's where a book can make a huge difference, because it provides that experience and that context for the child at somewhat of a remove. You can see what a character is living through, and go with it through them, and then decide how much of it relates to where you are.
And sometimes none of it will, and sometimes just a little bit of it will, or maybe just sticks in there, until later when you need it.
Well, thank you for sharing that with us. That is just wonderful. We have the book in the library for people to check out, and we hope that you go on to write more wonderful books to share with kids and their families.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. And I love the library. We go all of the all the time. It's a
Oh,
wonderful
yeah.
resource in our community.
Oh, great. You can advertise for us anytime. All right. Goodbye. Goodbye, everybody.